Good morning, everyone. It's been a long weekend, and yesterday I had a hiccup in my schedule, so I totally didn't do daily devotions. And I apologize for that. But we got a busy week ahead of us and lots of daily devotions to do, so here we go. Today's card is in so many ways exactly the card I needed today. The card is Medicine Horse, Progress on the Path. I totally needed this one today. The Celtic devotional, the theme is, what do you need to be more confident? What do you need to learn to be more confident? I totally needed this card. So, Medicine of the Horse, I'll just read you what I wrote. This card shows the sacred bond between human and animal kingdoms, the raw connection you have to Mother Earth's entities, all of them. The horse medicine is healing medicine, the way of the mind, body, and spirit. The horse medicine is soul healing. It can happen most subtly. This is inner work, reshaping from within. The interpretations of what happened from before changes. Horse medicine uses the power of authentic connection and heightened sensitivities for healing. Emotional damage can cause long-lasting and cascading energy fallout. But horse medicine is about trust in self, relationships, our physical bodies, intuition, and more. Allow horse medicine to deepen your aliveness, release of automatic reactivity, learning to allow horse medicine to support your journey and support you to thrive. You also never have to do the journey alone. Horse helps you acknowledge your relationships with your body rather than to dominate it with the mind. It can help you undo patterns of abuse and constructive attitudes towards fear. This powerful medicine helps with all emotions, helping one feel safe and heard. When one can channel the vital energy of our emotions into conscious choices moving forward and engage the world, we will have found the prayer of the horse medicine. So, I have to tell you a story. When I was a little girl, I had a absolute passionate love affair for horses. And I know a lot of girls do. I know that that's like a pretty common thing. I didn't always want to ride them though. I wanted to walk with them and talk with them and be with them. I would have been completely happy, and I was. We had horses down our street in our neighborhood when I was in junior high. And there would be days that I would I'm supposed to stay in the yard and I didn't. And I would go down the street and I would pet and talk to the horses. I just wanted to hang out with them. I didn't always want to ride them, but I wanted to talk to them and I wanted them to talk to me. Horses are very much about helping you stay connected to who you are on your soul path. That's what their medicine is. And I grew up in a house where I had a most magnificent father figure who did his best, and a very damaged, emotionally damaging, emotionally abusive, physically abusive mother. And mostly emotional abuse. And emotional abuse carries the heaviest scars. And when you're I was a very sensitive, very connected energy soul who was hurt very deeply by someone that is supposed to nurture and love them unconditionally without, it doesn't mean there's not boundaries. Every parent has to have boundaries, but that was awful. And when I went to college in Montana, I had the opportunity to work with the Western Montana Equine Club, and that was their dressage group. Yes, Astra, I hear you. And I got to work with horses every week for a year and a half. It was amazing, and I loved it. And not just because I could ride. That was great. But there was a gentleman, if I remember correctly, there was a gentleman who donated the use of his ponies. He had a herd of ponies, and he had cows and other animals. And we would have to catch the ponies from the herd to ride. And there was this one little pony. He was absolutely adorable. He was this short-legged, fat little pony. Definitely not what you think of in dressage as those very tall-legged, spindly-legged, very like performance racehorsey horses. This was a pony, and he was adorable. And it got to the point where he would hear us, see us coming, and he would just jog right up, and only my instructor and myself could catch him. Nobody else could catch him. He didn't really want anybody else. But he had a most beautiful gait, and he had a most beautiful personality. And I was healing when I first came to Montana. I was really healing from a lot of trauma. And horse medicine is about healing. And you have to be able to connect into being an authentic human being and paying attention to your sensitivities. Horses know their medicine, their power, their connection to Mother Earth, and their connection to people is generational for hundreds of thousands of years. And I think that the medicine that they bring to us, that connection with Mother Earth, is so healing. I had horse everything for a long time. Figurines, I would paint them, I would draw them. And right before I left college, there was a young lady who had a horse collection as well, and I gave her all of my things because I thought, well, I'm beyond that. I don't need these things. But I'm thinking back about that time in my life, and it occurs to me that I had I'd almost turned that corner. I hadn't really turned the corner, but I was really close. I was about to, within 2 years of that time, I had my son Taliesin, and I had moved, and I had a huge change that I had to make in my life, and I accepted the use of my true name more, and I had accepted that I knew that I would be teaching, that I would write a book, that I would be working in this field more. Now, it took me another, 18, 19, 20 years to get there. That's okay. But when I gave away all my horse things, I shouldn't have in one way, but in the other way, I had really acknowledged that horse medicine within, and I didn't need them. I dated a couple different people over the next 3 or 4 years that they all had horses. I didn't need the little figurines, but boy, I found the people that had the horses. I don't do that anymore, but I still have horse medicine in my life. I have people who work with horses in my life, and I have people who work with animal medicine in my life, and it reminds me over and over and over again that each animal has its own medicine, and horse medicine is powerful and important to all of us. And at one time, we had horses in our lives all of the time. And if you think of all of the things that have changed since we've gotten away from horsepower, right? We've gotten away from our day-to-day lives having not just living on a farm, but animals in our life. We've gotten away from all animals being in our life unless it's a dog or a cat. Like, most people never ride a horse, where 2-3 generations ago, if you wanted to get somewhere, you had to have a horse. And everybody had them, and they were in their lives. And no, they were not treated properly, and they were just used. I mean, there's a lot of layering in that, I get. But the potential for that connection was at least there. And there are children that the only animals they encounter are the house pets. We're missing that. We're missing at a fundamental level all families having connection, all people having connection with the animal world in some way. And it's very harmful, and it's damaging to who we are and our connections to Mother Earth. It's really easy to throw everything you have in the garbage and forget that that's got to go to the landfill, and it's damaging Mother Earth when you have no animal connection. So today's prayer: Spirit of horse, beautiful, free, and graceful, show me the truth of my experiences. Now I am ready to see the way with authenticity. I am ready to celebrate my spiritual beauty. I honor you, medicine horse, for the gifts you bring to relieve my heavy heart. You help me walk in the way of spirit with honesty and grace. May I feel the freedoms of my soul's plan. May I feel the arms of Mother Earth to hold me. May I not be afraid to walk in the emotions, to be with horse in freedom. Blessed be. I think that when you acknowledge connection with horse medicine, you acknowledge the relationship you have with your body, and rather than the mind dominating the body, working with the body and the spirit. We're all connected, body, mind, spirit. I remember the first time I heard that phrase, or I feel like I remember, it was one of the first times I heard it. I won't swear to the exact moment, but I remember thinking, well, of course, body, mind, spirit, that makes sense. Horse medicine is soul level healing, and it happens subtly. And that medicine, mixing that creativity of sensitivity and authentic connection, is not a drastic healing process. It takes time, and it is subtle, and it is gentle. You know, one of the wonderful things that I had an experience with horses was I got to work with one of the Licence trainers out of France. And it's very much a communication, horse talk, talking with the horse, and allowing the horse to speak to you, so that if you want the horse to do something, he wants to do it too. It's a partnership. It's not I remember the first time I remember one of the times I first saw on TV, you know, like the breaking of the horse, and I cried. I was devastated. Why would you do that to an animal? And I grew up watching like John Wayne Westerns. My dad was a big lover of the John Wayne Western. And I remember just being horrified that you would do that. Even the concept of breaking an animal horrifies me, hurts me, makes me want to cry. And I got to work a little bit with one of the Licence trainers. I went to a workshop, and it just revalidated that there are people out in the world who understand that horses are people too. I don't know how to explain this, but they are their own. Well, all animals are their own, right? They have their own consciousness, their own awareness, their own sentience. And horses are a lot like people. They're so sensitive and they're so aware, and they just want to please. They just want to make it better. They just want to have that connection and be free to be authentically who they are and their personalities. And it was a wonderful experience. And the feeling of authentic connection that you have to have with yourself in the moment that you're working with what they call a green horse, a horse that's never had a saddle or never worked with people. And I'm sure the technique has developed a lot in the last 20 years. I'm not connected to that world anymore, but I do remember that was an amazing experience and an amazing validation that there are other people who get it. They get it, and they get the power of that connection. I remember when we lived on the reservation and we were like 3 houses down from this field, and one of our neighbors had horses, and there were a couple times that Thor kind of disappeared. And it didn't take me long to figure out that if I just paid attention, he's over by the fence, trying to pet the horses, crawling up underneath the fence to get to the horses. He had no fear. He was like, they're my friends. Like, yeah, they're your friends. Thor was amazing that way. He was just all love. I'm just gonna go make friends with the horses. And he did. They would come running. Our next door neighbor got to the point he would come over to the house and he'd go, do you want me to show your boy how to ride the horse? And I went, have fun, enjoy. I mean, it wasn't the best situation and he could have gotten hurt, but he was so brave and so trusting. And so the horses are my friends, Mom. And I couldn't. They're your friends. You're 100% correct. Go make friends. Horse medicine is powerful and it's needed. So I like that today's daily devotional theme was very in tune with that. Let's see if I can open it back up again and find it. What do you need to learn more? What do you need to learn to be more confident? And as I'm sitting here kind of chewing on it, I need to be more confident for me about my authenticity in my writing and just trust that what comes through is what's needed in my book. I have a great deal of fear about getting this book out. And it's not fear about what people will think, or it's not that. It is that, but it isn't that. I don't want to be the beginning and end of any one person's perspective on the universe. I want people to question, and I want people to stretch and grow. And I know that the information I have to get out there is going to pull some pieces of random information together and help it click for people to grow. And I think horse medicine is going to help me with those emotional fears. So, have a beautiful day, my friends. And I will see you tomorrow in prayer. Blessed be.